Hey everyone, welcome back to another exciting episode of Tech Productions. Today, I'm back up joined once again by Jimmy.
Sure.
In today's matchup, it's me versus Jimmy. Jimmy has brought out Cumber, and I'm playing Universe 3. Like always, there's buttons, links, check them out. Let's get into it. This was a closer match than I thought it was going to be. I thought I was going to this match and it's gonna be like, it's gonna be one-sided, but I felt like it was pretty decent for most part.
hmm Yeah, like I think both of these decks are kind of understated. I think they're both like have some really cool tricks and some pretty decent power plays that uh, that you kind of really wouldn't expect from decks of their nature. So I was like, what was the word I'm looking for? I was kind of scared that this matchup was going to be you were going to dominate this matchup. I don't know if you had the exact opposite feeling, but I feel like every time I sat down playing Cumber, it was the same words of like, I feel like I'm just going to get decimated, and I'm sitting there thinking like, oh shit, I'm going to get decimated.
Before we go further, I don't know why that card's in rest mode. It shouldn't be. I don't know why it is. But yeah, no,
You just special summon a defense.
that's what it is. No, I just knew that you had the ability to just remove my things, and this deck is you three, for those who haven't played it yet, is so. Your board's important. Your board and your drop is really what's important because you need certain cards in certain areas, and Cumber could, with the right setup, just bottom deck those cards, and then you can't do that, and that gets very frustrating. So, like, knowing when I had to get things played or combo things off just so I was where I felt comfortable was, like, the main important thing of this deck. And, sorry, I was going to go over the engine of it, but go on first.
Oh no, I had nothing to say.
Okay. So this deck is one of those few decks that is really reliant on the Z battle card. And because all the key engines to this deck to get going are one drops, Gogeta I feel like felt perfect for this deck. Allows you to play the cards in rest mode, and then without spending energy. And in order to awaken, all you need is literally each of the three little guys. In between your energy, battle area, Z energy, and drop, I think. So here you see I got that guy, and all I gotta do now is attack and combo it off, and then I can awaken and then continue adding pressure from that point on. But those three cards you see on the board, the one drops, they also have 3-drop variants of them as well. But they're needed for the Z battle card. So when you play the 2-drop Z battle card, it will pull those cards from your battle area, I think hand and drop, and put it underneath it. Then they have effects, either permanents or autos, when they are placed underneath one of the cards, either necking cards or giving a 5k boost. And that card itself gains barrier for the turn, so it's has its own built-in protection. That way, on the following turn, you go into the 4-drop version, which has a Z stack, so it's able to put underneath there. And then from there, it just feels really good. Like, I didn't understand at first like the potential of this deck until this is round 2 of this night. So it was round 1 when I got the chance to kind of experience like, oh, U3 is not bad actually. It's definitely not the best, but it did surprisingly well when playing it.
It suffers a lot. Like Metarildo is a very similar archetype where it suffers from a significant portion of your deck is dedicated to its engine and its archetype, which is sometimes not a bad thing, but when a lot of them are just wimpy little one drops that are 100% necessary but pose no threat to your opponent, it can be it can be a little when putting the deck together and playing it. But like I said, it has like a lot of like really neat stuff that it can do. Same way with Cumber, not so much. Like Cumber, you can run a bare minimum of the archetype, and this is more of an archetypal build. I think there's just a good to stuff Cumber list that just runs the bare minimum and then just runs good black cards for its rest of its 50. But like this deck also surprised me. This was a deck that when it was announced, I think everybody was super hyped for it because we were a drought for cards, and New cards got announced, so everybody got super excited. But they announced these so far back that like a lot of people forgot that these cards were coming in the set. Like, not to throw our buddy Chase under the bus, but when we were sitting down opening our packs, he was like, Cumber. He's like, did Cumber get new support? And I'm like, that is Cumber. Like, that's the first Cumber support. And he's like, what, that wasn't out already? It's like, so I think a lot of people just kind of forgot about this deck and let it fall to the side. But I don't think it's a meta contender, but I think it's a very fun deck. It can steal games, and, you know, it can maybe terrorize the locals if you're good enough with the deck.
So I want to talk about this real quick. I have a card in my hand I've been hanging on to for a while for you to activate the activate main on Fu. It's Merciless Barrage. Yamcha, right? I wanted to snipe the Cumber underneath it. I didn't realize at the time that Fu had barrier.
Mm-hmm.
I think I learned it during this turn, or it might be a turn afterwards. But man, I would not have charged that Kaioken Son Goku.
Mm-hmm. Like the Fu has the benefit of being a 1-drop 1Z energy, so it's easy to get back onto the board. But I would like to just not have to worry about doing that, especially in Cumber. The deck is a little bit energy intensive in some cases. As you can see, I passed with 2 open energy, and that was kind of just a more of a game sense call of you're going to 3 energy. You can do a lot of like fusion plays here or union absorb plays. As long as they didn't have deflect, I could deal with them. And I know that the deck has a pretty pivotal Z battle card, so
Yeah.
I left my energy up for a counterplay instead of pushing, which Cumber kind of struggles to push on turn 2.
And I built your deck. You know, you sent me the deck list, and I put together, and I completely forgot this counterplay worked the way it worked.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, oh, huh.
Yeah, this card is really gross. It's called Evil Aura Overflow. If you don't know what it does, you can discard 1 black card from your hand. And if the battle card being played has an energy cost of 4 or less, it's played in your battle area instead, and it gains Servant for the turn. So you tapping 2 energy, I responded by tapping 2 energy, and I basically played a 30k battle card on my field.
Yeah.
Card is an absolute ruling nightmare, by the way, just because the interactions that the card has. But damn, I do really love this card. It's one of my favorite cards. I wish it wasn't locked to just Cumber because I would love to play it in a lot of other decks, but I understand because this card can get a little wild. I knew that the U3 archetype had a pretty pivotal Z battle, or the Z deck was pretty pivotal to the strategy. So I felt that any card I can snipe out of there is going to be huge.
I actually played the 2-drop as a 3-up in only 2 of the analyzes because like it's just so good. Like you can pay 2 energy, 2 Z energy, and then you could load 3 of the 3-drops underneath it, and you're immediately sniping 3 different cards for 10k, or the same card multiple times. Like, and that is of course locked to this archetype. So like I was like, man, this would be really cool if you could play this under decks, but because it specifically has to pull the said 1-drops, you can't play that in like Cooler Mill or something like that, which is good, you know. That's enough, but like that card is what makes U3 so strong in my opinion.
So if you don't know about the gimmicks of Cumber plays with the Overlord Servant mechanic, which I always thought was a really cool mechanic. It was a little lackluster when it come out, but a Overlord card can target a Servant card, bottom deck it, and then you get to draw a card. Cards like the Fu Unison can give one of my Cumber cards Servant, which gives the plus 10k boost. It cannot restand during my charge phase, but the Servant falls off at the end of my opponent's turn. So the Cumber dual attacker that just dropped becomes a 29k dual attacker for 1 energy, which is wild. And the Prison Planet field card allows my Fu Z battle cards to activate Overlord on cards in my opponent's battle area. So the leader can give Servant to cards that I own. So the Mai and the Goku, Vegeta, Trunks that I give to my opponent, I can target those. They get Servant, bottom deck them, so my opponent doesn't get any value off of them. So I get their effects and then get a draw out of it. But most of the Cumber battle cards, like the one that can be played from under the Fuzi battle card and the 6-drop that I just played, on play or swing or whatever, can target a opponent's battle card to gain Servant. So it's kind of a control factor if targeting a rest mode card, so it can't restand and they can't attack with it again. Or a removal option if I haven't already procced Overlord on Zamasu, or on Zamasu, damn, on Fu, to remove the cards. Like I said, the deck can do a lot of like really cool things. Some of the things are a little gimmicky, but sometimes gimmicky is fun enough, and sometimes gimmicky is good. As we see stuff like Android 21, we find out how gimmicky that deck is and how much of a monster it is in some form, or in some people's locals.
Speaking of gimmicky, I thought this leader was very gimmicky for me. U3 leader. We talked about it before. Like, it's the reverse of every other leader out there. On the front, you draw one. On the back, you search top 5. And I remember going, I'm like, this is going to be stupid. I'm going to whiff so many times. I didn't whiff once, actually. It was actually really good. And for this particular turn as well, did you choose... Like, you went back and forth about spending your energy. You tapped 2, then you're like, nah. And you went to go tap 1, and you're like, nah. Did you have another counterplay in your hand?
No, I don't think I had the other Evil Aura. I think my thought process here was, one, I could bluff this. I don't know if he's going to attempt to go back into the Z battle card, but I will attempt to bluff here. And also, I believe I had a Petrification in hand. So I wanted to leave energy open. And plus, if you're not familiar with the archetype of Cumber, there is kind of a Exodia setup, as we like to call it, where you can put a Goku and Vegeta on your opponent's board, then fuse into the Zamasu, or goddamn, I keep thinking Zamasu, holy shit, into the Vegito. And then if your opponent has 4 or more life, it locks your opponent out of activating counters to 8-drop Cumber Evil Saiyans. So it's not necessarily a play it, win the game, but it puts you in a very likely position to win. So I didn't want to put anything on the field to swing into your life with. Plus, I was scared of any sort of counterplays as well. So I felt it was just safer to leave the 2 energy up, and because I knew you couldn't straight kill me this turn. Yeah. I felt it was just the safest play instead of being greedy.
Right there's kind of go over. I was going for the 3-drop because I said earlier I didn't realize this Fu had barrier, and you're like, oh, it has barrier. I'm like, oh, this isn't gonna kill anything. You cool if I just switch my target out instead? And so I went with the 1-drops, which gives us a 5k boost instead. So now it's at 25k. But I think I don't remember if I swing or not if I choose to. Because I'm in the situation where I guess either clearing a card out or swinging to your lead. I think I am swinging to the lead. And you just combo out, and then you happen to just and I was like, oh well, that works. But I did not combo because I was expecting you. I don't know what I was expecting, and if I had comboed, I could have potentially at this point gone into the Z battle card because you happen to now tap on those energies, and I was like would have just played it, done all the effects, and not swing just to keep it safe because it has a barrier, so it's kind of protected, and it's inactive, so you can't really swing at it. And then held on to it for my turn when you had whenever you passed.
Mm-hmm.
So instead,
that Gohan Rare did feel pretty clutch there. I'm a big fan of that card. I'm a big fan of all the Gohan Rares, but especially that one. That one's wild.
in this situation, you did use petrification on this card. The dice is there to represent it, and I think you saw what I was trying to go for, and you just said no.
Yeah, I saw that it had a Union Fusion for 1 red energy, and I know how good that is in Meta Rildo, so I was like, you ain't activating that, homie. But
So yeah, passing it to you to open energy, and you play Cumber. I mean, I'm like, of course. Here we go.
Yeah. So I wasn't able to get into my my Vegito this turn. You see that I charged it. So I was like, you know what? Like, I feel like I'm already in a good position. I'm just gonna slam this. I'm gonna put you. I'm gonna put you at 3 life and then just try to pressure as much as I can. I was able to snipe the super combo there, which is huge, and then get a another 15k body in play.
What was it? Testing the 8-drop trios, which goes underneath Unison, and I think it was a Wolfang Fist. I think I saw in my life when you did that.
Well, I hit the super combo out of that just so you wouldn't be able to draw that off your life, and then I knew the testing would have been wonderful to hit, but super combo it is.
Yeah, that the reason I wanted to point that out for a reason, because that testing at one point in this game will be very important. So here I'm just really just kind of protecting myself now. I've tapped 2 to get rid of a blocker. I'm kind of tapped out. I think I still have Merciless Barrage in my hand in case you wanted to play another card. But outside that, it's just me trying to defend myself. And I had plenty of, super combos. And I did not want to get down 2 life because I knew you had words, a Kraken Space.
Kraken Space Time, yeah.
Yeah. I knew you had one in your deck.
As mentioned earlier, Bancroft did put this deck together for me. I was pretty sick throughout the week, and I have most of the stuff to build Cumber, but I just did not want... I was not in the headspace to sit down and build a deck. So I sent the list to him, and he was gracious enough to put it together for me and let me play it and profile it. I really enjoyed it. So he did know every card that was in my deck, but he put it together for me. So there wasn't a lot of surprises. As you said, a Kraken Space Time was a card in the deck that caught a lot of people off guard. Not so much you, because you knew that it was there. But yeah, Kraken Space Time was huge in the lieu of the Champa ban. I think it's gonna kind of just eke up the skill level, of the game sense that you need to evaluate a situation, because you have to know what decks can battle trick into a double strike.
Yeah.
And Black Saiyans are one of them. So there's your free little tip. If you're playing a Black Saiyan player, know that Kraken Space Time exists.
So here,
which is 15k double strike.
So here I take the life, and it's one of those things like, what card did I take? And I think you're over here kind of debating that too. Like, you're tapping out, you're going for this game and hoping that in a 1 in 3 chance I do not get that card. And conveniently enough, I did not get testing the opposition. And you do end up comboing out here, and that pretty much seals my fate.
And also, like, the secret rare there, that was like, I'm so glad I went with it, because I was actually like considering like kind of holding back there and leaving standing on that 1 energy.
My go-to for that following turn, because I think I asked you after, I was like, did you have a testing supported Dark Empire in your hand? Because my thought process was, I'm just gonna swing and just give him, see if he can burn what he can burn before I play the secret rare. But with that being said, thank you for the opportunity. Keep in mind, there's buttons down below. Whatever. Bye.